Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley. Welcome to Satur-YAY. We are celebrating the weekend by getting our craft on. And today I am going to walk you through a very fun little shaker card, perfect for all those people that you love in your life. And I'm starting out with the coordinating dies for the High Five stamp set. I'm going to be using the stamp set as well in just a bit, but I'm starting out with this speech bubble, which I think is a great just basic shape to use on different cards. And I love that the sentiments in the stamp set work so well with this speech bubble. So I have a panel of linen cardstock from the Essentials by Ellen line, and I've held that die in place with a piece of delicate surface painter's tape, and I ran it through my Gemini Junior to die cut it. Now I have some tan kind of skin colored cardstock, and I am die cutting one of the hands from the hands die set from this cardstock as well. Now these dies don't cut completely, like the bottom part doesn't cut, but they're very easy to just trim out. So you can use them either as kind of a pop-up feature or as a complete die cut, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. But because I wanted my speech bubble to appear behind my stamp, I'm going to take that speech bubble, I'm going to position it over the hand, and I'm just going to cut out just a little bit there. It kind of cuts a little notch out of that hand. Then I'll take this over to my trimmer and trim off that bottom cut edge. Now here's that little piece that's kind of trimmed out. You can see it there. I'm putting a little tape runner adhesive on the back of this, and I'm going to position that around the speech bubble. And now it looks like that speech bubble is kind of laying over the hand. So it's kind of coming out from the hand. Now, in order to make this a shaker, I need a little piece of acetate on the back here. So I've cut that down, and I'm adhering it to the back of this panel using some Lawn Fawn glue tube. Now, I'm using a couple of newer adhesives in this video, and I have to say I've really been enjoying them. And that's the Gina K Dot Runner adhesive, double-sided tape, and then also the Lawn Fawn glue tube. Those are some of my newest favorite adhesives recently. Now, had I been thinking ahead, I would have traced this speech bubble onto this piece of craft cardstock prior to putting the acetate on, and that way I could just stamp on the craft cardstock, but I wasn't smart. So I cut the craft cardstock to the same width as my card panel, and I've placed both of those in the MISTI kind of stacked up, and I positioned my stamp right on top of that speech bubble. Then I removed the card front. I prepped the surface of my craft cardstock with my powder tool, and I stamped my Blowing Kisses Your Way sentiment right onto that craft cardstock in Versamark ink. Then I'm going to coat it in some white embossing powder. I'll knock off the excess, and then I'll heat set that. And that way, when I go to adhere this on the back, I can line up the two bottom corners and the side edges, and this will be positioned perfectly in that speech bubble. Now, when I create shakers, I like to use a double layer of foam adhesive. This probably would have been one of those that's okay with a single layer because the little embellishments that I'm using are relatively flat. But I went ahead and used a double layer of foam adhesive as well. And I just pull off a length of foam adhesive and I fold it over on itself. And then I can cut strips from this double layer of foam adhesive. Now you're going to see me remove both backers from this strip of foam adhesive. That's because when I remove the backers, I can then kind of bend and mold and shape this strip of foam adhesive into the shape I need it. Now it doesn't quite turn that corner like super well, so I just trimmed it down. And as I'm going around this speech bubble on the back side of this card front, I'm making sure that all of my pieces of foam adhesive are touching each other. So it's creating a well for my shaker bits to sit into. And as long as all of those corners and pieces are kind of touching each other, nothing should escape from that little shaker well. So before I pour in my little shaker guts, I like to remove the backer from the foam adhesive because I find that if I'm trying to remove the backer, I spill the shaker guts right out. And today I am using this Essentials by Ellen exclusive little mini hearts confetti. There is a mixed color and a red color. And since I wanted it to be more red than mixed, I added a little bit of the red in with the mixed color, and that gave me a predominantly red color scheme there. Now, in order to line this up, I am taking the foam piece out of my MISTI and I'm pushing this into that upper right-hand corner. This is going to help me line up the corners of that craft piece with the corners of my card front and get this positioned perfectly so that my sentiment is in the right place. So if you need to line up two pieces of cardstock, this is a great way to do it. You can kind of push it into the corner of your MISTI, and you can see I have a perfectly lined up sentiment there. Now, I've die cut some of the confetti kisses. They're like X's, O's, and hearts and little lips. I've die cut them from some pink and some red cardstock, and I added a few into my shaker well before I sealed that up. And I'm also adding a few of these little lips to the front of my card as well, so it looks like the kisses are kind of blowing from the hand. And I'm just adding those little lips on there with some foam adhesive. I'm also going to add some of the sequin hearts here onto the front of my card as well, and I'm using some of the red and the pink and the cream color that's in the mix. And then I'm just adding a little bit of the Tonic Nouveau shimmer pin to all the little lips that are on the front of the card, and I'll top those off at the end with a layer of glossy accents. So now that I have my card front pretty well put together, I'm going to prepare my card base, and I have a piece of linen cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm scoring that with my We Are Memory Keeper scoreboard and my Teflon bone folder. Scoring that at 5 1/2, and then I'm just reinforcing that fold line with my Teflon bone folder. And before I put the card front onto the card base, I'm going to layer this up with a piece of Essentials by Ellen Oyster Gray cardstock. It's just a really great light gray color. It kind of keeps in the neutral tones of this card, but it gives it another layer and just kind of adds a little bit of interest. Then I'll just take some tape runner adhesive on the back of the card front and adhere that over the top of that oyster gray layer. Now I have to tell you, there's a part of this card that's bugging me, and it's that the hand doesn't go all the way to the base of the card or the bottom edge of the card. So in order to cover that up, I'm going to take a little piece of gold cardstock, and I am just kind of cutting a little arched shape out of it. And I'm going to adhere this onto the bottom of this hand, and it's going to look like a bracelet, okay? So this is the way I cover things. I am embellishing with a bracelet. So I have the gold cardstock there, and now I'm adding some collage medium in the matte finish. And over the top of that collage medium, I am adding some of the snowball droplets from the Essentials by Ellen line. And as I mentioned earlier, I just finished off those little lip shapes with a layer of glossy accents, and I think it is so much fun to make these lips glossy and shiny, because what's a pair of lips without a little bit of gloss, right? So there you have it. That completes my shaker card for today. I have to admit, this does have a little bit of a Valentine's Day feel to it with the reds and the pinks. But I do think this is a card that you could make and create and use year-round. And I love that while the December release kind of has this underlying love theme to it, there are tons of products that you can use year-round and great basic shapes and sentiments mixed in there as well. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, but head on over to the ellenhudson.com blog. Over there, I'll have more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. Thanks for stopping by today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss any of our paper crafting and card making video tutorials. I'm so glad you spent time with me today. Thanks for watching. Happy Satur-YAY, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.